पायल सावन का महीनवा सैया नाही आए ना.
Looking across cultures, one finds several performing arts traditions associated with public women or courtesans, women who sing and dance mostly for the entertainment of men. While they once held a lure as divas and commanded respect as artists, they now face disrepute.
हरियाली छाई मोर मचावत शोर की सैया नाही आए ना.
These women lived in matrilineal households and generally passed down their artistic traditions from mother to daughter. In the process of modernization, such women have experienced various changes in their status, identity, and roles. In the Indian subcontinent, these divas are known as Devdasi in the south and tawaif and baiji in the north. Following the partition of India and Pakistan, the identities of members of these communities have at best become transformed into folkloric spectacles or romanticized archetypes. At worst, they've become inextricably linked with prostitution. The importance of their artistic and cultural contributions has been obscured, often silencing their own voices. The process of modernization in India has affected courtesans in two most significant ways. Beginning in the mid-19th century, colonial legislation degraded the artistic value and morality of tawaifs. Social reformers in the early 20th century sought to remove references to eroticism from much of the traditional arts. Examples of these traditions include the Hindustani genre Thumri and Kathak dance. This sanitization of music and dance traditions of the tawaifs to a large degree allowed the mainstream performers to take over their art form. These and other reforms proceeded to erase the contours that distinguished tawaifs and dedasis as performing artists from prostitutes. In this process, members of the mainstream, including respectable women, adopted these forms into elite society, performing mostly in centers of urban culture. Most traditional women performers found themselves excluded from this democratization. From the early 19th century until the late 20th century, tawaifs would live in specific neighborhoods, much like entertainment districts, where they performed mujra. Mujra is the delicately sensuous performance of Hindustani music, dance, and poetry recitation in Urdu and dialects of Hindi such as Braj, Awadhi, and Bhojpuri. Tawaifs performed mujra in their private salons known as kothas. Upper-class men and their sons frequented these salons, where they enjoyed the performance and often learned the music. Art was at the center of these encounters. Seduction was an option, not a given. Social reforms vilified these women and their artistic work. In many of its former centers, such as Lucknow and Banaras, the tawaif salon performance has all but disappeared. Nevertheless, the remnants of this cultural tradition remain in a few off-center cities, albeit in a degraded form. One of these sites is Chaturbhujistan, the red light area in Muzaffarpur. This busy provincial city is in the impoverished and corrupt North Indian state of Bihar. Once respected for its art and culture, Chaturbhujistan has, for the most part, deteriorated into a flesh trade market. Some 1,000 women active in the profession make their home here. Previously, passers-by could hear musical rehearsals and the sounds of ghungru, the dancers' anchor bells. Now poverty, lack of patronage and caste discrimination have reduced this once great artistic tradition to little more than an adjunct to the main business of prostitution. Still, there are a number of women living in Chaturbhujistan for whom music is an integral part of their lives. The Chaturbhujistan quarter is named after its resident Hindu temple dedicated to the Lord Chaturbhuj, an incarnation of Vishnu, the sustainer. In South Asia, since the late 18th century, tawaifs have been divas involved in the process of globalization. Their performance was sometimes patronized by British colonialists, many of whom later both exoticized and vilified them. At the turn of the 20th century, they were the first women to participate in the pioneer recording industry, lending their voices to the record label HMV, His Master's Voice. In the early decades of the 20th century, Baijis and tawaifs were the first women to play women's roles in theatre and cinema. This avant-garde participation in and contribution to public culture disseminated the mystique of the divas. This also fueled a pervasive gossip. This gossip has long been and continues to be globally mediated in both the recording and film industry. Today, tawaifs encounter many disruptions and obstacles that inhibit their livelihood as performance divas. Some continue to perform in their private salons, usually for patrons who are more interested in sex than songs. They must constantly struggle with a complex network of crime and exploitation, not to mention poverty and profound social marginalization. Others have retired from professional performance, but continue to make music informally at home.
हमरे सावरिया नहीं आए आए सजनी छाई घटा घन गो मैंने बोए वो हटाओ भी अल्फाज नए होंगे किस्सा तो पुराना है.
One of the most significant contemporary supporters of the tawaif's tradition is the Banaras-based non-profit Guriya Sansthan. Their mission is to break the cycle of ignorance, exploitation, and discrimination which women in the independent and flesh trades are subject to.
This has a greater meaning actually. It's not about just a concert, you see. It's about saving the whole tradition of music, you see. It's about all about supporting the marginalized women from the red light areas. It is also all about supporting the marginalized artists elsewhere, you see. Fourthly, it's also a awareness campaign against human trafficking. This is Mirganj, a red light area in the heart of Allahabad district in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Guriya received information that girls are trafficked and are forced into commercial sexual exploitation. Guriya informed the district magistrate and requested the magistrate for assistance to conduct a rescue operation to rescue the minors from the brothels. In Mirganj, as in most other parts of India, corruption in the system, particularly within the police department, and the lack of accountability of the police as an institution allows the police to connive with the criminals and face no consequences.
गली का क्या नाम है? उस वाली गली का गली.
Guriya pressured the magistrate's office to issue an order for a police rescue in the brothels identified by Guriya. The magistrate allowed Guriya's request for police assistance. A city magistrate and his volunteers to conduct the rescue operation had to wait for more than 6 hours for the local police to arrive. Once at the scene, Guriya, with the help of its volunteers, were able to rescue and hand over to the city magistrate and the police 20 girls. The police refused to rescue many other girls that Guriya and its volunteers identified and informed the police about. Once the girls were rescued, we accompanied them to the police outpost within the red light area. Inside the police outpost, the police officers started threatening Guriya's volunteers and the staff. One police officer who led the police team threatened me that I will be kept in the police station till late at night and then taken out of the police station and shot dead. In India, this practice has now become so common that it is euphemistically referred to as encounter killings. In fact, the number of encounter killings in Uttar Pradesh is the highest in the country.
You see,
it has great meaning actually. And fifthly, if I am permitted to say, which I always say is that cutting across all cultural and national barriers, it is a bond of love and relationship basically.
For the past 15 years, Guriya has been organizing music and dance programs in public venues featuring members of the tawaif community.
Very much being done by the women now, okay?
The
there are few,
Baijis.
and there are few women who have really taken charge of the situation actually. See? Like Aruna is the one who's trying to handle everything quite well, you know. She's understood actually what we're thinking all about, you see, you know. At least 4 or 5 of them, you know, who really take the lead actually, you see.
And what do they do?
They organize the women now. Like I don't have to run around going to MP to bring the artists.
They recruit the artists?
Yeah. Everything is very crystal clear here. Everything is very, they all know that how much we are going to get and how much is the amount and how it will be distributed and this, that, you know. And they also know that we've never had the full amount that is almost required for the concert, you see. And still we go on. Okay. I'm not trying to create an atmosphere where it is all about money, bargaining and, you know, it's like almost a cooperative sort of thing. So it's not a question of really bargaining or this and that, but we have had a lot of problems with that. Yes, it is true. But all those people who have been doing that, we've virtually thrown them out of the group actually, you see. Because, you know, we have to fight the outer world actually, you see. And if there's infighting within, you see, it's a problem actually. You know, it takes away your stamina. And we realized this needs to be expanded actually for 2 reasons. Firstly, I think we realized that we were limiting ourselves actually. Even we needed some push to get out of that box actually. See? Because we could not do all the revolution within that limited framework, you know, even after creating our own stage and our own concert, you know. There were furthermore artists, you know, who were marginalized, you know, and they need to be brought into the fold because we had suffered the same thing when we began. So now that we had established ourselves, it was a time for us to expand ourselves, you know, engulf other artists who were totally excluded So with these two purposes, actually, we now have a very consolidated concert, where we've had artists coming from Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bundelkhand region.
Since 2008, Guriya has expanded these programs to include other socially marginalized traditional performers, while keeping the tawaifs at the forefront. As in the past, many tawaifs continue to learn their more classical repertoire from ustads, male masters who often accompany their performances as well. Ustad Vajan Khan is one such master in Muzaffarpur, known and respected both by the tawaif community and the mainstream.
मुजफ्फरपुर के इतिहास जो है बड़ी अच्छी इतिहास, बहुत अच्छे लोग थे। यहाँ की तवाइफें भी बहुत अच्छी थी, यहाँ उस्ताद लोग भी बहुत अच्छे, और यहाँ के रईस लोग शोफा भी बहुत अच्छे। भाई लोग जो थी वो अपना गुडिया हो गई, कुछ मर गई, कुछ बैठ गई लिहाफ ओढ़ के, हमने कुछ लिहाफ ओढ़ के बैठ गई। जो खड़ी हैं बेचारी, किसी सूरत से उनका काम चल रहा है, वो भी पर्दा डाले हुए हैं, क्या करें।
समय और हमजोली बस वैसे ही चलेगा जैसे हम लोग चलते आए हैं। जैसे लड़के लड़कियां लोग वैसे करती हैं तो अच्छा चलेगा, लेकिन हम और लोग जैसे हमजोली में जो गाना सुनते हैं तो बस इतना ही का फर्क रहता है। जिसको देना होता है इनाम बख्शीश वो देते हैं। बस इशारा और जो है भाव नज़ाकत, बस यही चलता है। हम लोगों को जैसे उम्र का उन लोगों की तरह हिलना डुलना, और नहीं तो फिर मजबूरी में तो करना ही पड़ता है। फिर उसको कहते बेहाई, बेहायपना। जो आजकल के जो डांस चल रहे हैं उसको बेहाया डांस कहते हैं।
नहीं
ना वैसा ठीक था।
इंदिरा में पानी नहीं नदी नहीं पास बा, इंदिरा में पानी नहीं नदी नहीं पास बा, होटुआ सुखाल जला कितना प्यास बा, इंदिरा में पानी नहीं नदी नहीं पास बा, होटुआ सुखाल जला कितना प्यास बा, अरे मनवा उदास बा, अरे मनवा उदास बा, होटुआ से छल के मोरे, होटुआ से छल के मोरे, कितना ही रसवा तनी बुझाई न बलमु, तनी बुझाई न बलमु, अपने होटुआ से होटुआ तनी सटाई ल बलमु, अपने होटुआ से होटुआ तनी सटाई ल बलमु, अपने होटुआ से होटुआ तनी सटाई ल बलमु।
है जो भी
पसंद ऐसा है ना, अपनी पसंद नहीं, अपनी पसंद क्या है, अपनी पसंद कुछ भी नहीं है, सब जनता की पसंद है।
जनता की पसंद है। हम लोग क्या, हम लोग तो जो
अपनी पसंद क्या है,
हम लोग अपनी पसंद से क्या,
अपनी पसंद ये है कि अच्छा खाएं अच्छा पहने, जब कमाएं तो दो।
हम लोग तो यही पसंद है। अब क्या
मैं कह रही थी ना, मैं कह रही थी ना, आवाज
लो भाई गइल ना, अरे संयमर सावली हो सुरतिया, हे भुलाई गइल ना, संयमर सावली हो सुरतिया। ये भोजपुरी में
ये लेकिन रंग में आ नहीं रही क्योंकि दवा आवाज दवा के गा रही है।
हाँ, ठंडा रूम में किसी को हो रहा है।
सैया मोर आए गनवा, सैया मोर आए गनवा, हे दबाई जेलना।
बिहार हिलेगा मुजफ्फरपुर।
हे दबाई देलना, अरे सैया मोर पालय हो जुगनवा, हे दबाई देलना, सैया मोर पालाए हो जुगनवा, हे दबाई देलना, सैया मोर पालाए हो जुगनवा।
कितना और थोड़ा थोड़ा में सब कुछ हो गया अभी तो।
हाँ, सब चीजें हो गई कंप्लीट। आई थिंक इट्स कंप्लीट।
अब यहाँ से वहाँ तक देखे आइए आप, किसी से भी पूछ लीजिए कि भाई ये फलां दादरा गा रहे हैं हम, इसका ज़रा बोल के बताओ,
याद नहीं किसी को,
मालूम ही नहीं, सुना ही नहीं।
हाँ।
एक दादरा मामूली सा कहिए कि फलां दादरा सुनाइए, हमको नहीं सुना। उसी तरह से उस्ताद भी हैं यहाँ, किसी तबले वाले से कहो कि भैया दादा ठुमरी का ठेका लगाओ तो
बोल जाते हैं लोग, कुछ गाते ही तो हालत करा जाते हैं।
खत्म मामला है। क्या वो तक दिन है।
The wives also learn from their foremothers. In a family such as Chandni's and Aruna Devi's, music provides a soundtrack to their everyday lives. Much of their practice time is while doing household chores or socializing. However, live music today increasingly faces competition from recorded music.
गहरी गहरी नदिया गहराई, पवन चलत पुरवैया देवा, गहरी गहरी नदिया गहराई। गहरी गहरी नदिया गहरा गहरी गहरी नदिया गहरा बहुत बड़ा
The once great variety of traditional songs in North India includes songs for life events, such as marriage and the birth of a baby. Aruna Devi, Poonam and friends perform a song in celebration of Guriya directors Ajit and Manju's wedding. In newly independent India, the Anti-Zamindari Act of 1952 disempowered landed gentry by reclaiming their lands and titles. As the aristocracy were the traditional audience for Indian classical music and dance, this affected the loss of a major source of patronage for baijis, tawaifs, and other musicians. Subsequently, the first Immoral Traffic Prevention Act, ITPA, was passed in 1956. This made it increasingly difficult for baijis and tawaifs who were attached to salons or kotas to prove that these establishments were not connected to prostitution, which was now punishable as a criminal offence. Famous courtesan quarters in North India, such as Dal Mandi in Banaras and Chowk in Lucknow, became subject to police raids which were often violent. Today in such quarters, there exist associations of tawaifs and their accomplices, but they cannot protect themselves fully from the particularly exploitative aspects of the ITPA, which include warrantless searches, arrests, harassment, and evictions. In the past 2 decades, there has been some political unrest, both Hindu-Muslim and that driven by intra-party conflicts. These tensions have fueled the fear of violent acts and led organizers to all but cease putting on open public concerts.
8-10 साल से इन लोगों का
8-10 साल से कम हो गया।
कुछ मर गए, कुछ चले गए, कुछ वो हो गया, अब कोई नहीं आता। नहीं तो पहले बराबर लोग आते थे और बराबर गाना बजाना होता था। ये चतुर्वेद मंदिर में बहुत शानदार प्रोग्राम हुए। गुलाम अली खान साहब थे, वो किसके लोगों के प्रोग्राम हुए हैं। अलकनंदासी दारा इन लोगों का भी प्रोग्राम हुआ है। बिरजू महाराज का
नाचते थे मंदिर पे।
मंदिर का हमारे जो हिंदू भाई हैं, राजपूत, ब्राह्मण, क्षत्रिय, ये लोग बहुत अच्छे प्रोग्राम कराए हैं।
अच्छा। और अभी उस खानदान के कोई है जो रईस लोग जो प्रोग्राम कराते थे?
हाँ, वो हैं, मगर अब उनको इस काम से दिलचस्पी नहीं है। वो नहीं चाहते। ओपन प्रोग्राम बिल्कुल बंद हो गया। अब नहीं होता है ओपन प्रोग्राम। उसकी वजह है कि नक्सलाइट और ये सब बदमाश लोगों का हिसाब किताब कुछ ऐसा बढ़ा कि उनको लोगों को डर लगती है। उन लोगों से मुलाकात होती है, कहते खासा क्या प्रोग्राम कराएं, आप बैठे हैं मंच पर गा रहे हैं, किसी ने बम छोड़ दिया।
Feudal patronage provided tawaifs and other musicians with a relatively comfortable life, whereby their needs were met and their artistic work was supported. The transition to a capitalist economy which deals in cash rather than exchange of favors or resources has led tawaifs to rely more steadily on sex work for their survival. This transformation fragmented and affected the tastes of audiences, leaving tawaifs with very few options for patronage. Some aging tawaifs are forced to make a living by provocative performances for an often exploitative audience. For Chandni, a talented young woman from a respected matrilineage of classical musicians and her family, this is not an option. In India today, there are numerous reality TV shows specializing in entertainment. These provide opportunities to talented young people from small towns and cities. Chandni would like to progress more with her music, and she dreams of performing in shows like Indian Idol or Saregama. But to her that seems like a huge leap. Chandni knows she can become a professional musician without doing mujras. However, her family fears gossip that labels her a singer, which has racy connotations if she performs too much.
गांव की लड़कियां
तो बचपन से ही लड़की मैंने टी सीरीज में भाग लेते चल गए। भाग लेते लेते मैंने बड़ी भी होती चली गई उसी में। और मैंने एक जैसे मैंने हर तरह का गाना, कठिन से कठिन, मैंने पॉप गाना से मैंने हर गाना उसके ऊपर अच्छा लगता है। तो फिर सारेगामापा में तो मैंने धीरे धीरे भाग लेते लेते सिंगर बन गई। आज उसी का दिखा रहा था, मम्मी को भी देखा कि मम्मी देखिए एक लड़की थी, क्या तो नाम था उसका। हम तो यही चाहते कि हमको अगर माँ सरस्वती हमको जैसे गला दी है तो हम उसको यूज करें। हम तो यही चाहते हैं। हम तो मम्मी से भी यही बात बोलते हैं दिन रात, लेकिन मम्मी मेरी बात सुनती ही नहीं है। तो हम क्या करें?
Meanwhile, Chandni has reached a marriageable age, and her mother and brothers are considering marriage as one of the options for her future. This introduces further disruptions and potential conflicts. Not all daughters in tawaif families become performers. Some are married and live the life of householders. Aruna Devi and her late benefactor, the father of her children, chose marriage for their elder daughter Ragini. She was married in 1997 at the age of 16 to the son of a village attorney. In 2000, Ragini gave birth to a son, fulfilling the duty of a wife in this patriarchal society. Her life was tragically cut short in 2005 when her husband and in-laws murdered her out of greed for additional dowry. Annually, hundreds of thousands of women and children are trafficked into, out of, and within India. This is perpetrated by both men and women. Because of its proximity to Nepal, Muzaffarpur is a destination, source, and transit point for trafficking. In August 2006, a raid on a trafficking racket in Chaturbhujistan and the arrest of its leader was headline news in the community. There was much tension and rumor among the residents of Chaturbhujistan as the police were taking the liberty to enter and search women's homes at random. Neetu Kumari in her mid-20s lives in a salon on the second floor overlooking the crossing in Chaturbhujasthan. Following her father's death over a dozen years ago, Neetu began entertaining men with her seductive Bollywood-style dancing, mostly in her salon. She's not from a musical lineage, but realized that by dancing, she could support her mother and young daughter Anjita who live with her.
अमेरिका में बदावत हुआ हम लोग यहाँ सोच रखा है बोले मेरे बहुत से दोस्त अमेरिका में हम लोग की पूरी अगर टीम अच्छी सफल हो जाती है अगर हम लोग अच्छा पैसा बचा लेते हैं उसमें से कुछ पैसा बचाते रहेंगे हमेशा कमा कमा.
Although recruited for Gudiya festivals, she was reluctant to leave her salon and seasonal customers from whom she earns more money more quickly. In early 2009, Neetu was arrested on a charge of trafficking young girls for salon entertainment. She was jailed and her daughter was placed in a home for children of mothers in jail. By the end of the year, however, she had been released and had returned to her salon.
It's a critical situation now.
How so?
You can hardly find people, the artists don't want to continue with the music.
Why?
Stand back, to be honest. You hardly find biases left, and trying to keep up with the music or trying to find a livelihood through the whole tradition of music, you see. It's not visible, you see.
The community of tawaifs and sex workers is most vulnerable to HIV/AIDS. According to the United Nations Development Programme, approximately 2.5 million people in India are living with HIV. In 2000, Aruna Devi made a state-sponsored performance tour around the state of Bihar to raise awareness through their performance about AIDS and safe sex.
और बहुत लोग के सामने गाना पेश किया ना?
हाँ, बहुत लोगों के सामने, मतलब कि हॉस्पिटल, ब्लॉक और आपके जेल में भी, वाह, पिछड़ी जाति जो लोग हैं, उन लोगों के यहाँ आपके चतुर्भुज स्थान मंदिर में, उधर भी तवाइफे लोग रहती हैं, वहाँ भी हुआ है, मेन जगह पे हुआ है.
She was given lyrics that addressed the topic, which she set to music.
कैंसर से भीख दर्दनाक है, एड्स मौत से सब से खतरनाक है, दक्षिण अफ्रीका से फैले जहान में घूमत फिरत अलई भारत महान में, भारत महान में हो, भारत महान में हो, दगिया लगावे किए.
The non-profit organization Gudiya is dedicated to enabling members of various clans and castes of Tawaif to reclaim their status as respected artists. Founded and led by Ajit Singh, a passionate grassroots activist, Gudiya has been organizing and producing festivals of music and dance several times a year since 1995 in mainstream performance venues. On these festival stages, participants find spaces that provide opportunities for them to transcend their low socio-economic status. Here they perform as legitimate artists, hired for their creative skill and not for their sexual availability. The women present the best of their repertoire as they strive to make their music and dance acceptable to the mainstream and ultimately financially viable. Gudiya's latest initiative, the Dhai Aakar Pyar Ka Pearls of Love concert series, launched in June 2004, is increasingly entrepreneurial and seeks to ride the wave of India tourism's Incredible India marketing campaign. The hope that India's independence in 1947 offered its people ironically excluded these divas, the tawaifs who could not gain access to the mainstream. Nevertheless, there are a few pathways of hope, albeit very fragile, in the midst of multiple disruptions. Guria's other main project is running a balwadi, or informal Head Start school and tutoring center for the children of Shivdaspur, a fully operative red light district. Some 150 children between the ages of 2 and 13 attend classes to learn basic literacy, hygiene, social skills, crafts, plays, and simple songs with messages of empowerment. Self-reliance and empowerment in the face of social marginality are nothing new to Santana Manju Singh, co-director of Guria Sansthan. She grew up in an SOS orphanage near Kolkata. She joined Guria as a teacher in the Balwadi in 2002 in Shivdaspur. She and founder-director Ajit Singh were married in 2004. In 2008, Ajit and Manju became parents of a daughter, Varish.
She's a source of inspiration for me, you see. She's my strength. And I'm so happy that I have a daughter, actually. You see, especially when I look around, people, trying to, wean out girls from their life, and give them a second-hand treatment, actually. I'm so lucky I have a daughter, and I think all that I've been doing in my life is further attested by my daughter's presence in my life, you see. I said, one daughter enough. She can change the world, no problem.
যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি সবাই It means that if you are alone, so don't give up. You should be carry on. If there is no supporter with you, be carry on. Stick on your goal, and one day you will achieve, definitely. This means this song. You shouldn't be give up. One day you will find your path. You will achieve your goal. You should be stick on your ambitions. একলা চলো রে যদি সবাই করে ভাই তবে ওরে ও বাগা কেউ কথা না কয় যদি সবাই থাকে মুখ বুলায় সবাই করে ভাই তবে ওরে ও বাগা কেউ কথা না কয় তবে প্রাণে খুলে মনের কথা তবে প্রাণে খুলে মনের কথা একলা বলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে तबे एकला चलो रे